Hey everyone, and welcome back. I am just absolutely thrilled to have you here for today's explainer, mostly because we're unpacking something we literally all do every single day, often without even realizing it. We're talking about the silent conversation. We're going to explore how we communicate way more than just the words coming out of our mouths. And mastering these hidden signals, it can completely transform how you interact with others, whether that's in a classroom, a boardroom, or just a casual team catch-up. Okay, let's dive into this. Have you ever walked into a room and just instantly known a meeting was going terribly? Like before anyone even opened their mouth? Or maybe you've met someone who immediately made you feel heard and respected, just by the way they were standing. Think about just how much meaning is conveyed before a single sound is made. It's a massive amount of information. And honestly, when we aren't mindful of what we're projecting, it's incredibly easy to send the complete wrong message. Section 1. The silent conversation. This is the very first layer of our communication iceberg, right? Before we get into complex verbal arguments or grand conclusions, we've got to look at the unspoken, physical actions that lay the absolute foundation for all successful group interactions. Nonverbal communication is simply defined as the messages we convey without using words. Our facial expressions, gestures, eye contact, posture, the whole shebang. The source material points out a really crucial fact here. Research shows that a massive chunk of meaning in face-to-face communication relies entirely on these signals. Why? Well, because they're the key to helping listeners understand your true emotions and intentions. When your words and your body actually align, you build trust, you express sincerity, and you dramatically reduce the chances of a misunderstanding. Moving on to Section 2, Mastering Your Body Language. Now, what's really interesting about this breakdown is that we can actually get highly specific with the physical tools we have to reinforce our spoken messages, specifically with our hands and head. Take open hand gestures, for example. Showing an open palm naturally indicates honesty, openness, and a real willingness to communicate. Think about it. When you say, "I believe this solution will benefit everyone," showing your palms visually proves you've got nothing to hide. You can also use gestures to point directly at visual aids to focus attention, or, count on your fingers to emphasize 3 distinct points. And let's not forget nodding. A simple nod shows you're totally tracking with the speaker. But a quick word of caution, we definitely have to watch out for excessive gestures. Frantic hand movements won't emphasize a point, they usually just distract the room. So keep it natural and controlled. Moving up from our hands, our face is literally constantly broadcasting our attitude. Notice how a serious expression doesn't necessarily mean you're angry. It naturally conveys the importance or gravity of a topic. On the flip side, simply raising your eyebrows signals genuine interest and curiosity. A smile, super welcoming, while a concerned look shows you recognize a problem and have empathy. It's really all about matching the broadcast on your face to the message in your words. And then, of course, there's posture. Let's be real for a second. Have you ever tried collaborating on a project with someone who's just slouched down, arms folded, staring blankly at their phone? It's incredibly frustrating, right? Poor posture basically screams disengagement. But look at the contrast here. Good posture, sitting upright, keeping those shoulders relaxed, leaning just slightly forward, it instantly reflects professionalism. It shows you're actually invested in what the other person is saying. All right, Section 3, Nonverbal Do's and Don'ts. Let's put this into practice and establish some ground rules for any discussion. The do's are all about connection, right? Smiling naturally, maintaining good eye contact, and nodding. The don'ts, on the other hand, are all about isolation. Folding your arms, frowning unnecessarily, showing visible boredom. So the crucial point is this. Defensive, closed-off body language absolutely kills teamwork. If you aren't making eye contact, or if you're folding your arms like a literal shield, you are essentially shutting down the collaboration before it even gets off the ground. To see the real stakes of getting these nonverbal cues right, let's bring in a real-world scenario. Imagine a student, or maybe a colleague, advocating for an idea to their group, saying, "I strongly believe we should organize more industrial visits." Now, that's a solid, proactive statement on paper. But here's the thing. Delivering a great idea only works if your physical presence backs it up. If you just mumble it while staring at your shoes, nobody's going to buy in. But if you maintain steady eye contact, smile naturally, use open hand gestures, and hold a confident posture, bam, now you've got their attention. Your physical presence absolutely proves the sincerity of your words. So you've mastered your physical presence, you've engaged your group, and the ideas are flowing. But what happens next? How do we end these discussions successfully without that dreaded, awkward, abrupt ending where everyone just kind of shuffles their papers and walks away? Well, we need to smoothly pivot from the physical act of talking to the strategic skills needed for the final outcome of a meeting. Which brings us to Section 4, the art of wrapping up. This is a vital, yet honestly so often overlooked skill. An effective discussion doesn't just stop. It's got to be carefully guided to the finish line. Wrapping up requires a few specific steps: summarizing the main ideas, reviewing the suggestions that were made, confirming any agreements, and deciding on the actual actionable next steps. And doing all of this while maintaining that confident, open posture we discussed earlier, that ensures every single person in the room feels respected and is crystal clear on the group's final decision. Section 5, reaching a consensus. Let's move to this and see how it builds on everything else. This brings us to the ultimate goal of the communication process we've been outlining: consensus. Consensus is defined as a general agreement reached after considering everyone's opinions. Now, I want to clarify a really common misconception here. Consensus does not mean everyone gets exactly what they want. Nope. Instead, it means that everyone accepts and supports the final decision. This is the magic that unifies a team, completely avoids downstream confusion, and vastly improves everyone's commitment to the work ahead. So how do we actually achieve that? Well, it starts by summarizing the main points so everyone is literally on the same page. From there, you want to actively highlight where there's common agreement. And honestly, a simple empathetic nod right here can work wonders to build that shared ground. Once you resolve any remaining differences through polite negotiation, you explicitly confirm that final decision out loud. And finally, you thank everyone. If you step up and guide your group through this roadmap, you're effectively acting as a leader, steering the entire team to a unified conclusion. And the language you use during those steps is absolutely vital. You want to use a warm, encouraging tone backed by a genuine smile, for sure. Saying things like, "It seems that most of us agree that," is a wonderfully tactful way to check for agreement without being overly aggressive. Or, when you're trying to resolve differences, offering something like, "Can we agree to combine both suggestions?" That provides a perfect auditory example of how you can build bridges rather than walls during a negotiation. Let's anchor these consensus steps in a really realistic, high-stakes scenario. Imagine your group is discussing, how can our polytechnic improve students' mental well-being? People are going to have strong, varying opinions on a topic like this. To reach consensus here, the group absolutely must rely on those good nonverbal habits. To listen respectfully without crossing their arms or tuning out, and then use those diplomatic verbal strategies to negotiate politely and find a truly unified solution. And this brilliantly illustrates the exact finish line you're aiming for. Once that consensus is reached, you lock it in. That concludes our discussion. Thank you, everyone, for your valuable ideas. It's formal, it's respectful, and it leaves absolutely zero ambiguity about the fact that the meeting was successful and is now officially a wrap. So let's bring this whole communication iceberg together into one final checklist. To be a truly successful communicator, you've got to align everything. It starts with the nonverbal foundation, maintaining steady eye contact, using natural open hand gestures, broadcasting suitable facial expressions, and holding a confident, forward-leaning posture. Then, you carry that amazing energy right up to the outcome by providing a clear summary, checking for group agreement, and bringing it all home with a respectful, professional conclusion. Which leaves us with this final thought. You are constantly communicating, even when your mouth is completely shut. So I really want to challenge you. When you step into your next meeting, your next classroom, or your next group project, what will your silence be saying about you? Take control of that silent conversation, use these tools to build consensus, and just watch how much more effective your teamwork becomes. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.